Okay, let's do it then. First ever kind of Friday preview show before weekend games. Just trying something out. Ideas in my head about how I'm going to run this whole thing moving forwards into next season. So just trialing some things. So wanted to just look at the games that are coming up at the weekend. Touch a little bit on the games that have just happened. I'm recording this at around about 3 o'clock on Thursday. So Chelsea won't have played Spurs yet. So I'll kind of maybe skip over anything to do with them in terms of the week that we've just had. Before I go into it, it's been interesting. Obviously, last night we had the Merseyside derby and the whole Tarkowski challenge on McAllister, and that's kind of really been the crux of all the talking points and all the football, media, podcasts, all that stuff, and even to myself to kind of promote the video that I recorded as the reaction. I used the bit about Tarkowski as the clip to try and get people interested, and been sending some voice notes back and forth with my mates Greg and Ali, and we probably maybe sent about 6 or 7 voice notes back and forth about just VAR and the decision and what we think about it, and we're all in agreement that like it's boring and it's not really, we're not a fan of it, but it literally is the main topic and cover of almost every weekend by and large. I mean, yeah, there's some weekends nothing happens, but by and large it's the conversation every weekend. And it's, I don't know. I came from coaching in America for a good 8 years, where a lot of the other sports, your basketballs, your American footballs, there's so many rules and laws to it all, and it almost makes it a bit like like I want, and football has always felt so much more pure about how the game is just gone, and not to say that the game is perfect, but it's just felt a lot more pure. And I just feel like VAR and opening the platform so these ref watch shows to apologise the day after a game and say, yeah, we got it wrong. I mean, it doesn't help because the game was last night. So what, you're going to add points or take away points if decisions, aren't made correctly. I mean, great example is Luis Diaz, I think last season, with, the whole offside against Spurs. So yeah, it's interesting that that's the forefront of a lot of discussions these days. And I know I've just spent probably the first minute and a half of this video talking about it, but I just wanted to highlight that. And I don't know, it's something I want to stay clear from as much as I can. So we're saying that, let's get into what's coming up. So let's just quickly recap everything that happened this week. So obviously it kind of all kicked off in terms of the game on telly with Forest United, which I've reviewed, so I won't go into it. It's a good win for Forest. Wolves beat West Ham in what seemed a pretty kind of poor game in the final third area, and Arsenal get the win at home to Fulham 2-1, and Saka coming back and getting a goal, so big for them. But they did lose Gabriel, and after the weekend they'll obviously have Madrid coming up, which I'll touch on in a little second. Obviously last night we have the Merseyside derby. It's the game on the telly. Again, I've done a review. Southampton draw 1-0 with Palace. Newcastle get a good result 2-1 against Brentford. City beat Leicester 2-0. Villa with a very good result away from home against Brighton, which is going to be, Villa are going to be the first team I'm going to look at here. 3-0 win. And then Bournemouth with a bit of a shock loss to Ipswich, even though Bournemouth, I think, if I'm correct in saying, including the FA Cup against City, they actually haven't won in 4. So their form has actually dipped a little bit. So I think if you go through that, Ipswich beating Bournemouth and Southampton getting a point off Palace, Brighton Villa, I think I maybe called a draw. I think most of those other results there are not really surprising. Wolves, West Ham are both two teams at the bottom of the table who could kind of go either way in that game. Obviously, Wolves being at home. I want to look a little bit at home and away form, actually, which I had a look at. See how teams are doing home and away from in the league, because it's interesting. Sorry, I can get my words out there. Trying to get better at this. So not a lot of shocks. Let's move on to the games that are coming at the weekend, because I've touched on most of the games. I want to look at the Aston Villa first of all. So they are playing on, Jesus, where are they? Where are Aston Villa playing? Aston Villa are 5:30 home Saturday, home to Forest. So yeah, big game in terms of that kind of hunt for Champions League, which, as I said before on the video I did on Monday, I think that's really where the interesting kind of battle is right now. And all that talk about the league being quite poor this season. I mean, if you look at this league table, which we go into, and as we said, Forest are starting to pull away slightly in third, 57 points. They're even 7 ahead of Newcastle, but City after the winner on 51. Kind of all the way down to Fulham are on 45, so they're 6 off it. Bournemouth are 7 off it on 44 points. So from 10th to 4th, and you can see the forms in there, kind of a bit shaky, and that's the teams that are kind of battling out for that fourth spot. So that's so strong, and all of those teams are gonna have something to play for to try and get into Europe. So anyone that plays them, it's gonna be really difficult because they're not kind of just sitting there with nothing to play for in 9th, 10th, as you would see in previous seasons. So I think the league is really, really strong. But yeah, I wanted to touch on Villa because they've obviously got the Champions League run coming up, and they play home at 5:30 against Forest before they've got PSG in the week, which is going to be mental. But a really interesting stat that I seen, or not even stat, but just something that was on Sky Sports earlier. The three Villa signings, Rashford, Asensio, and Malin, they all signed in January. All get the goals last night, and the boy that's a Villa fan, he has his own Villa podcast, was just saying that January is obviously a really tough market to try and go and buy players in, but Villa have actually done extremely well, and there is opportunity in the market when it's there. Rashford, I've had lots of debates with my mate Ali and other people about Rashford and how he's looked at in the last few years, and it's let's be honest, he's not been great at United the last couple of years. United is just seeming to be a very, very tough place for everyone to be, but yeah, he's not been great, and it's kind of come off the back of signing that big deal, and he went to Villa with Emery, who we know is very tactical and is going to ask you to do specific things, and if you don't do them, you won't be in the team. And in all fairness to Rashford, he's doing really, really well. He's doing, getting the goals in there. He gets the first one. He seems to be putting the work rate in off the ball. He's come back to life a little bit, and they've got that option to buy him for 40 million in the summer. So if he carries on doing the form that he's in, then I'd imagine Villa will take that, because he's showed little spurts of some unbelievable seasons after most of them come really, really bad ones. But I think they'll look to take that punt. I mean, getting Asensio, Aston Villa getting a player from Real Madrid, you would never have thought that kind of 2, 3, 4 years ago. And that's the amazing thing about these teams now getting into the Champions League, and getting that money and getting that exposure and being able to maybe offer a little bit more wages and lure these players in. So yeah, great bit of business from Villa. I thought that was a cool thing that all three of the January signings scored, and obviously Rashford had an impact, Asensio's had a huge impact. So yeah, their January business has done really well for them, and it'll just be how they can balance everything. They currently sit 7th, 48 points, so they're three off of City in 4th place. Obviously Chelsea play tonight, so they can maybe go couple of extra points behind that 4th spot if Chelsea beat Spurs. But yeah, I wonder how Villa will look to balance that out, but their form's a little bit better. That's now 2 wins in a row. No side has won more than 4 this season, which is Liverpool in a row. That's been the best run, if I'm not mistaken. That's Liverpool now back to 4 in a row. So, it's not been easy to win a lot of games in a row this season, which again alludes to the point that the league has actually been pretty solid this year. Been pretty solid. So yeah, Villa, that'll be a good game Saturday 5:30. I probably won't be able to watch that with what I'm doing, but that will be a decent game to watch. The weekend kicks off with Everton Arsenal and TNT. I don't want to dive too much into it, but Everton, not an easy team to play against. We've seen that last night in the derby. Moyes has got them going, but in saying that, and albeit Everton actually haven't won in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everton haven't won a game in the last 5. They've drawn 4 and then obviously lost last night to Liverpool. So yeah, not losing, but not quite on that hot streak of getting some wins, and that kind of bounce is maybe dipping a little bit from Moisey. And also Everton are as good as safe. The 14 points off of Ipswich. Ipswich ain't getting 14 on them, and it's kind of the job for Moyes to motivate the boys between now and the end of the season to kind of maybe finish 12th or something. Can't be too easy. So it's a hard place to go, Goodison Park, and again Arsenal will have one eye on Madrid coming up in the week. I think that if they were to drop points this weekend, and Liverpool, who are away to Fulham, will kind of do these in a 2, which again will not be an easy game. If Arsenal were to drop points and Liverpool don't, I mean, it's pretty much as good as done. It will definitely be good as done, and it will be interesting to see, depending on how they get on in the first leg, how much Arteta will maybe use the league games to kind of get some rest out of some players and not play them as much. So that's a good first kind of game. 12:30 on Saturday. Already touched on Villa, just having a look there. Palace Brighton. A bit of a shock draw for Palace there. Brighton, that's a poor defeat at home, 3-0 to Villa. Ipswich, Wolves and West Ham, Bournemouth kind of finish off the Saturday games. So not too much in there. Obviously the teams that are chasing for that Champions League spots, Bournemouth away to West Ham, they'll need to be looking to get a win. Ipswich and Wolves at the bottom, and then Brighton as well, let's get back onto winning ways. And then we kind of get into Sunday where Brentford and Chelsea, again, I don't want to touch too much on Chelsea because they're playing Spurs tonight and don't know what the score is at the time of recording this, but Brentford just got beat 2-1 by Newcastle last night. But Brentford are one team that I'm pretty sure certainly enjoy playing at home a lot more than they do away from home. Just double checking that. I mean, Brentford are 8th in the form table for home points, so they've got 24 points at home compared to 17 away from home. Scored 30 goals, conceded 27. They're pretty mental at home. So yeah, Brentford and Chelsea, both kind of mad teams. I think Chelsea will try and look to come in, stamp their authority and control the game as they do under Maresca, but Brentford will cause a little bit of chaos, and it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea kind of deal with that and kind of go in there and handle that. Then, like I said, you've got the 2 p.m. Fulham Liverpool, which I'm not going to dive too much into. You've got Spurs and Southampton, which again, no one's really playing for too much. Southampton are down, and Spurs are just trying to get form and probably again are focusing on the Europa League. And then Super Sunday comes with United at Old Trafford to play City. And one thing I found quite interesting on the kind of away table format was how poor Man City's form away from home has been. So if you see here, for those of you that are listening, but I've got a form table up on soccerstats.com. So the most informed team at home are Liverpool. They played 15, won 12, drawn 2, lost 1. They've got 38 points from home this season. You then go to Arsenal, who are on 34 points, and Forest in third, who are on 31 points. So there's the top 3. And then City are 4th, with 30 points from home this season. And that kind of is your top 4 at the moment, so no surprise there. But if you go to look at the away table, it's Liverpool, Arsenal and Forest are the top 3, and then Man City are actually all the way down in 10th spot for how well they've done away from home this season. So they've played 15, won 6, drawn 3 and lost 6 with the 21 points away from home, scoring 25, conceding 21. So their away form's been really, really poor this season, and obviously that's a derby game there. Man United typically tend to show up when the games are a little bit tougher. Obviously City without Haaland as well, so Marmoush is going to be playing. I actually really like Marmoush, and he obviously scored against Leicester last night too. But yeah, there's just a lot of things that could go in there. I said that I thought United looked like they had a bit of energy and a bit of bounce to them on Tuesday night against Forest. There's obviously, they're really, really toothless up top. Being at home might just help give a little bit of extra buzz and kind of create some moments with them. One person I didn't touch on during the week in the review was Garnacho, who, very quick, very exciting, electric going forwards, but his decision making and his finishing is really, really erratic and really, really poor. And he's a young boy, so he's still got time, but it's kind of that Rashford, thing where he is young, but he's played a lot, and he's been in and around the team a lot, and has been hailed as one of the better players for the last kind of season or two. And his finishing is just really, really, really erratic. So United toothless up top. City really poor away form, but however have really started to get a run of win under their belts. I say that they've drawn and won one, but also won the FA Cup, so they've got two wins in a row, and they'll be looking to rectify that away form. But that does go to show that it will be interesting to see if United can beat them there. There's a little opportunity with that. The home form and the away form is it makes for interesting reading. So it's a good Super Sunday. I think, like I said, Everton Arsenal will be decent. Villa Forest I think will be decent. Again, it depends what Villa look to try and do, but they're kind of caught in between two stools if they need to still fight for 4th spot, because they might not make it in. I know the 5th spot might get Champions League football this season. We're not too sure, but they'll still need to go for it there. And Forest are looking to not lose the grip on that 3rd spot and make it their own, and obviously go on their incredible fairy tale run. So Sunday's really the kind of more interesting games, I would say, with the title race with Fulham and Liverpool, and then you've just got the Manchester derby, which is always a good way for Super Sunday, and hopefully we get Gary Neville quoting out some rash predictions on that game. So yeah, I think that about covers it. Just kind of going through the fixtures and what the interesting ones are going to be. I don't think I've got anything else to say on really any of the other teams, to be honest with you. I think, all teams will be kind of looking at this week and the weekend as almost like a double header, like 2 games in one, and I'll maybe be planning for how they're going to work things and who they're going to play and who's going to come off when, especially the teams that have Europe. And again, a big advantage to someone like Liverpool against Arsenal in the title races, they don't have to worry about Europe in the week. They can go all out for it again on Sunday, and then they have the full week to recover, to actually do some training on the training pitch and be coached, which you don't get really at this level at all anymore when you're at the absolute top end. So that'll be absolutely massive for them, and just get some guys back fit. So yeah, let me know everyone's thoughts on it. It'd be interesting to see what will happen with the Manchester derby. That's the big one of the weekend, and Arsenal, all eyes will be on them at 12:30 at Goodison to see what they can do. So yeah, I think that'll do us. Again, I'm going to look to keep doing this kind of preview thing probably every Friday morning, have this out. Look to get better at it. I do listen to a lot of other shows that do similar things that are really good in their podcast based with people, and I'll try and incorporate that if I can, probably into next season. But it's just good to keep the consistency going with the football videos. And like I say, if you watch this and you get all the way to the end and you've got any feedback for me, please do let me know. Chuck it in the comments. I would very much appreciate it. Always trying to look to get better, always constantly thinking about these things. It's a cracking day, so I'm going to get off the laptop, I'm going to get off this phone, and I'm going to go enjoy the next couple of hours of the sunshine before it disappears. So yeah, for everyone that watches and listens to this, I hope you have a good weekend. Get after it if you're out for a few beers in the sun, and enjoy.